that, another unforgettable chapter of Bridgerton has come to a close. Season 4 delivered romance, heartbreak, tension, and ultimately a beautifully satisfying full-circle moment for fans who've been deeply invested in the journey of Benedict Bridgerton and Sophie. In an exclusive conversation, Thompson and Yerin Ha opened up about the emotional finale, their characters' evolving love story, behind-the-scenes memories, and what they hope lies ahead in Season 5. When asked about their reaction to seeing how Sophie and Benedict's story wraps up this season, Thompson reflected on the emotional depth of the journey. He shared that the story truly had to travel a long and winding road before arriving at its resolution. According to Luke, the season explores emotional territories that audiences haven't fully seen before on Bridgerton. The characters are pushed into new spaces, forced to confront difficult truths, and ultimately transformed by their experiences. He described the ending as something that feels earned, not rushed, not simple, but a payoff that only works because of everything that came before it. The phrase "full circle" couldn't be more fitting because in order to return to where they were meant to be, they had to travel the entire circumference of that emotional circle. Yerin Ha echoed that sentiment, revealing that when she first read the script, she was struck by how powerful the emotional overturning felt. For her, the conclusion delivered the kind of payoff that actors hope for, a resolution that feels honest and deeply rooted in character growth. She described it as satisfying, not only for the audience, but also for the performers who have poured themselves into telling this story. The journey wasn't easy, and that's precisely why it resonates. Fans, of course, have responded passionately. The love for Sophie and Benedict's romance has been overwhelming since the release of Season 4 Part 2 on Netflix. When asked about their most memorable fan encounters since the season premiered, Luke shared something surprisingly touching. He mentioned that many fans approach him almost apologetically, wondering if they are reading too much into the show or projecting their own lives onto the characters. But Luke sees that as the entire point of storytelling. When viewers connect their personal experiences to what they're watching, it means the story has succeeded. That emotional investment is not only welcomed, it's celebrated. He emphasized that Bridgerton is a massive group effort. From writers to directors, cast to crew, everyone contributes to creating a world that allows audiences to see themselves reflected in these characters. For Luke, witnessing that deep connection is one of the most rewarding parts of being on the show. Yerin agreed, noting that seeing fans respond emotionally is a testament to everyone's collective work. One of the most talked about aspects of the season was the intimate and romantic scenes between Sophie and Benedict. When asked whether they ever imagined the collective gasps and screams from fans at home while filming those moments, both actors laughed. Luke explained that they actually avoid thinking about audience reactions while shooting. For them, the focus must remain entirely on the characters and the truth of the scene. The moment an actor starts performing for imagined reactions, they risk losing authenticity. Instead, they concentrate on serving the story honestly. If audiences respond passionately afterward, that's wonderful, but it can't be the motivation during filming. Another standout element of the season was the return of Jonathan Bailey as Anthony Bridgerton. While fans were thrilled to see him back, many were surprised by the sharper, more overbearing Big Brother energy he brought this time. Luke described it as a new color for Anthony. Although Anthony has always had a protective and occasional meddlesome streak, this season amplifies that tension, especially in his dynamic with Benedict. Watching Benedict finally push back after 3 seasons of being the more amiable, easygoing sibling was, according to Luke, incredibly satisfying. After years of restraint, letting that frustration surface felt refreshing. For Yerin, working alongside Jonathan Bailey was a particularly memorable experience. She openly admitted to feeling starstruck when she first met him. Having heard so much about him before officially joining the cast of Bridgerton, finally encountering his presence on set was surreal. She described him as someone who carries undeniable presence, a quality that's difficult to define but immediately felt. In fact, she revealed that stepping into such an established ensemble cast was intimidating at first. However, that initial awe quickly transformed into admiration and camaraderie. The cast dynamic both actors emphasized is one of the greatest strengths of Bridgerton. Yerin shared how welcoming everyone was from the start. Despite the scale and global success of the show, there's surprisingly little ego on set. The atmosphere balances professionalism with playfulness. They take the work seriously, but they also allow themselves to enjoy the experience. Laughter is common, and there's a shared understanding that they're creating something joyful and romantic, something meant to entertain and uplift. Luke added that this healthy, ego-free environment is refreshing, particularly on a production of this magnitude. The collaborative spirit ensures that no single performance overshadows another. Instead, the focus remains on telling the story as authentically and cohesively as possible. Beyond romance, Season 4 also dives deeply into themes of class and social hierarchy, long-standing pillars of the Bridgerton universe. The storyline highlights how rigid societal structures can complicate love, particularly for Sophie and Benedict. At the heart of this struggle is Lady Violet Bridgerton, whose evolving perspective becomes crucial in supporting her son's happiness. Luke reflected thoughtfully on Violet's journey. Having lost her husband at a young age, Violet understands grief, vulnerability, and the courage it takes to love again. In many ways, she shares that emotional foundation with Benedict, who also experienced profound loss early in life. Yet Benedict may not have fully recognized that shared pain before. He may have seen his mother primarily as someone pressuring him towards marriage, without realizing that her perspective is rooted in lived experience. This season reveals that Violet's insistence on love and commitment isn't about social expectation, it's about understanding what truly matters. She knows that life is fragile and fleeting. Supporting Benedict and Sophie isn't simply an act of maternal duty, it's an act of trust. She trusts that she raised her children with integrity and emotional intelligence. By stepping aside and allowing Benedict to follow his heart, she demonstrates faith in his judgment. Yerin highlighted how beautiful that trust feels within the story. Violet's willingness to break through societal molds for the sake of her children reinforces one of the show's central messages. Love should not be confined by rigid systems. Whether it's class, reputation, or tradition, those barriers must sometimes bend to make space for genuine connection. The proposal scene between Sophie and Benedict stands as one of the most romantic moments of the season. When Benedict declares his desire to make Sophie a Bridgerton and asks her to marry him, it feels like the culmination of everything they've endured. Her joyful acceptance signals not just romantic fulfillment, but emotional healing. It's a promise of partnership built on understanding, sacrifice, and growth. Looking ahead to Season 5, both actors expressed playful hopes for their characters' future. Luke joked about wanting to see Sophie and Benedict have children and live peacefully in a cottage. Yerin added that she would love to explore lighter domestic moments, perhaps even scenes of Benedict teaching Sophie how to ride a horse. Their enthusiasm for continuing the journey reflects how deeply they care about these characters. At its core, Bridgerton continues to thrive because it blends escapist romance with grounded emotional truth. Through lavish costumes and grand ballrooms, it tells stories about vulnerability, identity, and the courage required to choose love. Season 4's full circle finale doesn't just close a chapter, it deepens the foundation for what's still to come. As audiences around the world stream the latest episodes on Netflix, the resonance of Sophie and Benedict's story proves that romantic storytelling remains powerful when handled with sincerity. Thanks to performances by Luke Thompson, Yerin Ha, and the returning presence of Jonathan Bailey, this season stands as one of the most emotionally layered installments yet. And while this Cinderella-inspired love story may have reached its current conclusion, in the world of Bridgerton, love never truly ends. It simply evolves, waiting for the next chapter to unfold.
For full video, click related link below or like and subscribe this channel.